Hope y'all are doing good today. Welcome to another Facebook Live um, on your Financial Success Matrix. So my name is Maria Mejia, and my partner in crime today is Mr. David Pataki.
Just today, I'm your partner in crime. I thought I was always your partner in crime.
Yeah. Today we'll be doing all the fun stuff.
Oh, okay. So the other days we do all the grunt work then,
yeah,
right?
the grunt work, the serious stuff,
Seriously.
Anyway, so today's topic is tax tip number 2, what to do when you receive your tax refund. So it's similar to tip number 1, which was, save for yourself. Tip number 2 is to save for your children's future specifically. So we kind of did cover this a little bit last week as well. But I really wanted to focus more on the RESP, so the education funds that you can set up for your children or your grandchildren.
All right. So before we go any further, I want to ask everybody out there that's listening or watching this, could you write a check right now for the full tuition amount for your kids if they were starting school tomorrow? Chances are the answer is no, but if you're there, fantastic, good for you. But most of us, we don't have that extra, well, I don't even know what it is, between $5,000 and $20,000, depending on what school they're going to and what books and all that fun stuff. So what a great way to offset that or take the stress away from it is by starting at RESP. Right, Maria?
For sure. And even for those people who have either, big families or small families, the financial burden can sometimes be shocking when it comes to that day. My family, I'm from a family of 7 kids. So every year or every semester when we started school, my mom would sit us all who were in university at the time. She'd be like, okay, how much is your school? How much is your housing? How much do you want for food? And to try and juggle all of that kind of financial stuff. So having an education fund set up for your kids definitely helps decrease that financial burden for yourself.
And there's something pretty awesome about the RESP. And what would that be, Maria?
It is that when you contribute to it, the government will match it up to a point.
Yeah, so 20% of everything you put in there, they will match, or they'll match 20%. So if you put $100 in there, they'll put $20 in there, and that goes straight to your child's education. It goes in there, and then every year there's this awesome thing called compounding. So every year that you contribute, the government will add up to 20% onto that, up to the $2,500. And once that's in there, year over year, it continues to grow. So you contribute, the government contributes, it's free money. Tell me where else you can go right now today and get 20% return on your money.
For real, it's kind of crazy like that. And there's no contribution limit for each year, unlike a registered retirement fund where there is a limit. With education fund, there's no annual limit, but there is what is called a lifetime limit. So for the lifetime of the account, you can only contribute up to 50,000. But that does not include, like we said, that government funds or even any education grants that you can get from your kids or for your kids. And it also doesn't include any interest or other things that you earn on the account. So you personally can only contribute up to the 50,000.
Yeah, and then there actually is a maximum that the government will put on there as well, and that's $7,200. But again, if you can max out your RESP, then you're going to get a free $7,200. That could be a year's tuition right there. Not to mention all the interest or return on investment you're going to get over those years. So the younger you start, the better off you are. We have RESPs for all 3 of the kids that we have. So in every year we see it grow. It actually is pretty cool when you see the return or the whatever is the statement, and you go, oh wow, the government is actually giving me money instead of taking money away from me.
Yep, and it's highly recommended that you do use that money, because if you do reach the end of the life of the education fund, anything that the government contributed, they're just going to take right back. But any, like I said, at the end of the life, the government takes their money back, they'll give you your money back, and the interest will be given back to you, but you do have to pay the taxes on that. So the lifetime of education funds are normally 31 to 35 years, 35 being the maximum. Then it does have to be shut down. Um, but they can be open really at any time as long as you are under the age of 25. So if you are just starting out, you just got out of high school, and you're kind of wanting to save a little bit as you're going to school just so you can get that government funding, you can open up an account right now, and it will kind of help you offset some of those expenses. But when your child is born, we highly recommend that you open up an education fund. That way you can start now setting aside some of that money while they're, still babies, still barely learning to crawl. You have high expectations for them. And even if they don't go to post-secondary education right out of high school, like I said, it can stay open for up to 30, 35 years. So they got like 10 years to figure out if they want to continue to go on to school or not.
Yeah, well, and for sure, I would recommend that you consult with a professional in the that does RESPs for sure. But generally speaking, you know, Maria knows quite a bit about it, and I've got some pretty good experience with it as well, being having three going right now for my three kids. But what's interesting though is that you actually can determine which monies you are taking out when you do go to school. So if it's going to be a shorter term, like let's say you decide to go to college and only go for 2 or 3 years, and you've got that, let's say you maxed out and you've got that $7,200 of government money in there, just make sure that you allocate the monies that are coming out to be the government funds in the first 1, 2, 3 years. That way, whatever's left over is all your money with the interest. So that's something to consider. That was a question I had. So, like if we get too much government money in there, like is it a percentage over each year? And there is a maximum that you can take out, but you can allocate most of that out in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty of that, is that you can say, I want to take out this money instead of this one. That way you do maximize and utilize the account to its fullest capabilities. Something else you can do is either have individual education funds or even what is called a family education fund. So if you have multiple children and you just kind of want to pool everyone into one, because you don't know, maybe little Timmy will decide not to go to school. He'll decide to go, straight into industry. Whereas little Susan, she wants to go and continue and be a lawyer or a doctor or something, which requires lots of education. If your kids are all in a family fund, you can decide, okay, whichever kid does decide to go to school, they'll be the ones that will receive the money. And then, you don't have to worry about, oh, if Timmy's going straight into work 10 years down the road, I'm going to lose all that money. Where in the family fund, you're less likely to lose that money.
Right, so I know we got pretty deep into the education fund here. So just to remind everybody what we're talking about here, because this is something you can set up monthly, and I would say set it up so that you don't actually see the money; it comes automatically comes out. But we're talking about what to do with your tax refund, right? So if you get $2,500 on your refund, and the government will actually pay that $500 to you. So you're actually turning your $2,500 into $3,000, and that can all go to your child's education fund. So that would be a great tax tip, Maria, for what to do with your refund.
Yep. And even if you're kind of hesitant on whether to open up an education fund right now after you've gotten your refund, set aside into just a normal savings account or a high interest savings account or a TFSAs or GICs, any kind of other saving vehicles, just put aside and be like, okay, this is for the kids right now. That way, when you do come to that point and you're comfortable opening up an education fund, you'll already have that money waiting to be contributed.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what we ended up doing. I have a blended family. So my two kids that are mine, we started the RESP when they were babies. But my stepdaughter, there was a chunk of money that was set aside for her to go into for her education. And then once my wife and I, we married, and we talked about the education fund, and she had $25,000 in there. And we said, okay, so what can we do with this? Well, I said, well, if we put it in the RESP, then the government will contribute their 20% up, and then we can change that 2,500 and turn it into basically, $3,000 or $30,000. It's been going now. We do 5,000 a year for the last 4 years. So it's actually pretty awesome because we've done it. So we've put in $20,000, and what's in the account right now is over $28,000. So that's interest, returns, and government contribution. So that 20,000 turned into an additional $8,000.
Well, that was a lot of great information. We are happy we were able to share all of that with you. And, like David said, talk to a professional. I personally am not that well educated in the RESPs because there are a whole wealth of different ones. You don't have to go directly through your bank institution. There are other institutions outside the bank that you can get those RESPs. So if you do have questions on that, feel free to reach out to us and we'll point you in the direction of our contacts who are knowledgeable in those different plans and those different options for you. And as usual, feel free to share this video with any of your friends or families that you feel would benefit from this information. We love sharing our knowledge with all of you.
Right. I'll just say this. Anyone who's watching this right now, if you know a fan or if you know someone who has kids that are young or whatever, send them this video so they can learn a little bit more about RESPs. What a great tax tip, Maria. And I'm so grateful that you're part of the team and that you're able to offer this great advice and this expertise. So, yeah.
Yep. And remember to like, share, and subscribe, and send us any questions or concerns that you have, and we'll answer them in the next Facebook Live. See ya.
Awesome. Bye.